Hello everybody, Steve here with another video, and today I'm going to start a new series based on what I see happening with current events. And that includes everything, the pandemic and all of the protests and the various movements that I've been talking about in some of my previous videos. But I'm going to talk about it in relationship to narcissism and narcissism's effect on the culture at large, including our younger generation, and including the role that I see that narcissism has in all of these protests that are going on. So I'm going to speak in context of that in terms of narcissism. Now, I did some of my earlier videos had a whole lot to do with narcissism, both on a personal level and narcissism in the church. Now, I do have some training in counseling. As a matter of fact, I'm one class away from getting my counseling degree, master's degree. But I also have a lot of real life experience to draw on in dealing with narcissism and narcissists. And these real life dealings have caused me to study narcissism, to do a lot of reading on it, and to be able to kind of figure out what effect it has had on my life. And it has had a pretty big effect on my life. And as a matter of fact, it was my reading about narcissism, my thirst to know more and more about it, that helped me through many of the things that I was going through. And I probably can safely say that if you're listening to my voice and you've had dealings with narcissists on a personal or even an impersonal level, you too have probably done a lot of research on it and found out a whole bunch about it. So for that, I commend you, and hopefully it has helped you get through the situation or situations that you've had to deal with in terms of having a relationship or friendship or any kind of dealing, whether it's professional or personal, with a narcissist. But since I see narcissism as being something that has exponentially grown in our culture, I think I'm now forced to see the effect that this tremendous growth of narcissism is having on our culture and our current events. Since there are so many people, individuals with narcissism, it is only realistic to assume that this is going to have a great effect on our community and our culture at large and in our country. And I think part of what we're seeing, part of the unrest, part of the protest, part of the violence, part of the crime and the looting and the theft and all the other things that we see going on in our culture have to do with people who have or are affected by narcissism in a pretty big way. If you know anything about narcissism, you understand that narcissists have a grandiose understanding of themselves, and they think basically that the world revolves around them. And that wouldn't be so bad, I guess, if the other traits of narcissists weren't all also on display. In addition to that, you have the lack of empathy. Narcissists also have no true ability to apologize. The narcissist is also a master of gaslighting, meaning that they will psychologically transfer the blame onto you, basically for something that they did. They're masters at that. Narcissists need praise and admiration in just about everything that they do, and they will go to great lengths to seek that admiration and that lifting up. They'll go to great lengths to seek that out if they're not getting it from their regular supply. Another trait of narcissism that I was actually reading about the other day was the ability for them to make you think that they are mind readers. And what people don't know about narcissists is that they study you. They learn how you are. If you're in a relationship with a narcissist or in a marriage with a narcissist, they know you. They know just about everything about you. They know how you will react to certain things. And so because they are excellent at studying you, it may seem like sometimes that they are able to predict certain things. And while it might seem like some kind of, wow, this person is, really knows you, it just comes from the fact of them knowing you and them being experts at manipulation, because that's what I call it. And I think I did a video a long time ago about how this works in the church, where a narcissist will thrive and will use God's word and will use spiritual sounding things to make you think that they're some kind of prophet that can predict the future about you, about other people. And that's only because they are good at studying and they're good at manipulation. I will address some of these things in more depth in some of the other videos of this series. But I want to quickly talk about in this short time, uh, on a high level, how I see narcissism playing out in our society right now. Now, everybody's talking about, the peaceful protesters, and that there's no, at least some people are saying that there's no violence associated with these peaceful protesters. But when you talk to them individually, as I've seen many times, both on YouTube, the news, so forth and so on, you'll quickly find that when you talk to some of these protesters, not all, but some, you'll see they sound just like narcissists. They have no empathy for anybody else, especially those who don't agree to the things that they are proposing. Very single minded in their purpose, and they expect you to be the same way also, or they will immediately get angry, they'll get disturbed. They never want to really debate the issues, but they will attack you and they will call you names and they will put you down. And in some cases, violence ensues as a result of the conflict. They will sometimes break the law, and then those who are charged with enforcing the law, they are being blamed as the ones who are causing all of the violence and not them themselves. They try to transfer their evil intentions onto those who either disagree or who stand in opposition to them, whether by force or whether by thought and reasoning. Those who are looting and thieving and even killing people, destroying property, these people are only thinking about themselves. And a lot of times they will record their actions knowing full well that this might possibly identify them. But because of the current climate in many areas of our country with many law departments, people are being let go. They might be arrested, but then they're being let go because of all of these things that have happened, like bail reform and all of these other things have cascaded. It seems like at the perfect time for them to allow them to be able to do these things. And it's, to me, if you record yourself doing things that you shouldn't be doing, or know that you are being recorded, to me that's just a case of narcissism. You want to be seen. It makes you feel empowered that you are doing this, even though it is wrong. And I don't even know if these people think that it's wrong. They think that they're entitled. And entitlement is another trait of a narcissist, where they feel entitled to anything that they want just because of who they are. In this series, we're going to talk about all this. We're going to get really deep into it from both a personal level and both a societal level, because whatever's happening personally in people's lives, if it's on a large enough scale, it's going to affect society. So that's my thesis in terms of all of this is that is happening. I mean, it's much more than narcissism, but narcissism is certainly a part of this, of everything that is going on. So I would like you to definitely leave comments. If there's anything that you want me to address that I hadn't mentioned in this video, please do leave a message, leave a comment in the comments field so that I can include it in some of the other videos in this series, because we really want to take a look at this. Many of us know the effects of narcissism in our personal lives, in our jobs, or wherever the case might be. But we need to understand how narcissism, in a larger context, it has affected many of the things in our society. And I think if we know this, just like if we know how narcissism affects us personally, if we know how narcissism is affecting us in a societal level, we'll be more able to deal with it, I think, and to understand what's going on, and to prepare ourselves for our dealings on a societal level with narcissism. And of course, we know that, as a Christian, I rely on God to give me direction, and I rely on His Word to give me the knowledge and the information to be able to share with you. So I just want you to know that a lot of what I will be saying, it will be biblically based, but really applied to what we are going through now, with the Bible as our foundation, not only in how to deal with the world, but also how to understand what is going on in our culture. So I'll leave it for now, but I definitely would encourage you to leave some comments. Let me know if you've had any experience with a narcissist who is also a part of these movements in a big way that is going on to all the protests. Let me know if you personally are dealing with someone. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with protests, because there's not. You yourself, if you're listening to this, you might be a part of the protests. And that's fine. Everybody has a right to protest in this country, and everybody should do it if they feel strongly about it. But what are your motivations? What are you trying to get? And as we know, narcissists tend to do things for themselves and not for other people. So that's one thing I draw a line in between the civil rights movement from the past and what we're seeing today. In the civil rights movement of the past, people were willing to make sacrifices, nonviolent protests, knowing that they were going to get personal harm done to them in many cases, but yet they were willing to do it because they had a larger community in mind. They were doing it for them, not only for themselves, but for their families and for future generations, so that we might be able to enjoy, as Black people, complete freedom in our country. So they made the sacrifice for that. I'm not quite sure that many of the protesters today have that in mind. I get the feeling that they're doing it much more for themselves as opposed for the good of others. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think. I really would appreciate you to leave a comment. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. And more importantly, if you like it, please do subscribe. We appreciate you. We appreciate everyone who subscribes, because that means you're interested in hearing more. So we want to present you good stuff. So God bless you. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.